Hello, welcome to the Hypnosis Academy. I hope you're all well. Today I'm talking about the two stages of life. Based on what I've been learning in all of the hypnosis and the past life regressions and the higher self work. So I want to share with you what that is, the two steps to this life. So I'll see you on the other side. So I've done a lot of past life regressions, and I've done a lot of work with people with the higher self. And I'm starting to see patterns. I'm starting to be able to put together the pieces of what this is all about. You see, everybody has their own experience in hypnosis. Not everything is congruent. What I mean is that people understand things differently to others. Their reality within hypnosis is different. Okay, so it isn't that we can say, oh, this definitely happens and this is definitely the case. It's not like that. This is art. This is the imagination linking up with divinity, I suppose. However, what I'm starting to see is this pattern. And this is the feeling that I get. I believe now, and I'm open to have that belief changed, by the way, but I believe now that we come into this world and we have two jobs to do. We have the first job, and the first job is to purify, okay? To purify ourselves. And how do we do that? By working through the contracts that we have created before we come to this life that are aiming to help us to learn lessons, to help others to learn lessons, and to raise our energy. And so this is called the karmic cycle. Okay, so I believe that we have to come in and we have to work through that karmic cycle. That karmic cycle, if I understand it rightly, is basically what we have to do is we have to shift ourselves up. How do we do that? Well, we do that in the second half of our life by being true to ourselves, which I'm going to come to. Okay? So however we leave the previous life, in whatever frequency, whatever place that we leave it, is where we have to come in. And the idea is this, the perfect cycle is that we always leave that life in a better place, and we come back in a better place learning different lessons, and then we end up in a better place, yeah? So the first half of our life is about working through contracts with the people that we have agreed to work through contracts. And those contracts are never necessarily, they don't have to be easy. They don't have to be hard either, but often, more often than not, they are tough. These are look, I need to learn this lesson. I need to understand what this lesson is. And the truth of the matter is that the lesson learning, how you learn the lesson, is by becoming aware of what you're doing. Becoming aware of the repetition in your life, of the bad stuff that's happening to you. And how do we learn those lessons? Well, we watch what's repeating in our lives, the lessons that are repeating, and normally the negative ones, yeah, that just keep repeating over and over again. And those are the ones that we have to deal with. We have to understand why it is that they're repeating. What is it that we need to learn from that? We learn from it, and then we have to let it go and forgive it. Okay, we have to forgive ourselves and forgive the lesson. Forgive the people who are in the lesson, remembering that we made a contract with them to do that. That's why we have to let it go. Right. So that process often takes us up to around about 35 to 40. Right? So it's like the first half of your life. Your job is to go through these processes. Some people go through them really quickly. Some people don't. But that's the pattern I'm saying is normally when people get to around about 40, sometimes about 50, they get to the place where they say, something has to change now. Now it's time. Now it's time that I sorted myself out. Okay? And then they start on the next journey. Well, what it is, they can't start on the next journey until they've sorted out the first bit, until they've sorted out the karma. What happens sometimes if they don't sort it out, they actually spend their entire life running through the first half over and over again like Groundhog Day. And they never learn from that lesson. They don't see that repetition. Okay? And they're the people who, when they come back, they've got to start in exactly the same place. And they've got to run through the same lessons again. All right? However, the people who learn, who go, hey, that's enough now. That's it. It's over. They get to this point in their life, this kind of watershed in their life where they say, now it's time for me. Okay? Now it's time for me to do something with my life. And then, and they look at their life and they think, yeah, what I've done up to now has just been leading me to this place. And then they start. Well, the second half of the job that we have, I believe, is where we then have to start being true to ourselves. That's where we have to start fulfilling our own self. Being the person, the being that we actually came down to be. Yeah, so we've sorted all out, the karma out, we've sorted that out. Now it's time to fulfill ourselves. This is why many people who have seen their parents behave in certain ways with them, and then they watch their parents as they become grandparents behaving completely differently with the grandchildren. Many people have said to me, I can't believe it, my parents are so loving with my grandchildren, so permissive, so this, that. With me, never. That's because the contract's over. It's over. They don't need to be that person with you because that job's done now. And they're free. They can start fulfilling themselves. They can start being the person that they came to be. So that's the second half. The second half of our life is about us being the very best version of our own selves. How do we do that? Well, that's when we have to start going on the inside and we start having to look at ourselves, look at our life and understand who we are. That's when we have to start understanding what our purpose is. We look across our life and we realize that even though it was tough, there were certain moments of bliss that kept repeating themselves. Those are those moments of bliss when we are in our purpose, when we're in the zone. Yeah? And that, our job in the second half, is to spend as much time in the zone as we can, to spend as much time in our bliss as we can, to spend as much time helping others as we can. So that's what I see coming through with all of these regressions that I do. And would you believe that the vast majority of people that come for a regression session or to talk with the higher self, they come because they are at that place. They know that it's time, that they have to start being true to themselves, that they have to start being the best version of themselves, and they want guidance. And the higher self is there, ready, thinking, finally, yeah, you've come to me. Right, now we're going to start. And that's where the real work starts. All right, the first half, we're doing our contracts, and that's fine. But the real work, the real bliss, if you really want to be happy, the second half of your life is where you can do it, where you can truly, truly realize yourself and be the very best version that you can. So that's what I see. That's what's come through. I don't know what you think, but I just wanted to give you my opinion. So where are you in your path? Have you ended your contracts? Have you fulfilled your contracts with the people? Or are you still stuck in these cycles? You see, the contract that we have, if we don't fulfill it, if we don't learn from it, then other people have to come into our life and run the same contract. It's like a default thing that runs. So if you were finding that there's repetition in your life, negative repetition, you leave one person for one reason, and then you find yourself in a relationship with the same person again, or the same behavior. Or you leave one job that you hate and you end up in the same job that you hate, or whatever. So that repetition is just telling you, what have you got to learn from that? What are you needing to take from that to set yourself free? And that's just a way that you've got to forgive. You've got to forgive the event, the person, and yourself. And then once that's done, off you go. Off you go into the future being the true, beautiful, wonderful version of who you are. Okay, there you are. Thank you very much for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.